Hi. Today I'm going to introduce you to Hoola's case management, and specifically from the point of view of a conveyancing firm. I'm going to show you how Hoola can be used as a case management system for conveyancers. So we're logged in as our example solicitor Jo, and she's on her dashboard screen. From here, she can see her emails, her diary entries, her tasks, recall to do items. But I found over the years the best way to introduce someone to Hoola for the first time is to show you onboarding a client. Now I'm going to show you one way of onboarding a client. I'm going to show you one way of using Hoowla. Hoowla can be used by many different firms in many different ways. It's quite a configurable system. That's why it can be used as a very popular conveyancing case management system and account system, but also for litigation departments, immigration. In fact, outside of the law, political parties use it as a complaints tracking system. We internally use it as our HR and sales tool. So you apply your business logic to the system for it to help you. But let's have a look at how Jo here uses it to run a conveyancing case. So we're going to onboard a client. So at the top of Hoowla, we've got lots of different areas. We're in the dashboard at the moment. Unsurprisingly, as a case management system, we've got an area for reports, and there's lots of reports in Hoowla. You can do custom reports, but we've got standard ones as well. Accounts, Hoowla has all the accounts built in, office and client, and we can have a look at that later as well. We're going to start with people and cases. So for conveyancing, think of Hoowla as a complete solution from quoting all the way to registration. So Hoowla has a very popular conveyancing quoting system, and that has a three-pronged approach to it. If it's right for your brand, you can put a button on your website so people can get quotes digitally. Internally, you can order and generate your quotes methodically and quickly. And then thirdly, if you work with introducers like mortgage brokers and estate agents, they can be added. And actually, around 10% of the entire conveyancing quotes in the country, in the UK, go through the system. So it's very popular. If you don't have a quoting system at the moment, but you're not ready for case management, a lot of law firms introduce themselves to working with Hoowla through our quote system. Is only £175 a year at the moment. So it's very, very inexpensive and very, very popular. But I'm going to go down I'm not going to go into the website button or the introducer network for today's video. I'll leave those for other videos. But I'm going to just create a person. They've rung and they need a quote. So maybe Frank Smith needs a quote. So I'll take some details for Frank. I don't have to collect all the details, and these are just some of the details you could collect. Again, these screens are customizable. One useful feature of Hoowla is it's telling you we've already got a Frank Smith on the system. Now it's got a different email address, but if it was the same Frank, I'd say, great, I can see we've already got some conveyancing quotes with you, or it could have some immigration quotes on there. You can pick the conversation up. So again, one system, having all that joined up thinking. Like most modern systems today, you've got the postcode lookup. I know there are some really old-fashioned case management systems that don't even have this, but it's pretty straightforward these days. So I'll put the address in. Probably at the quoting stage, I wouldn't have bothered grabbing the address of the client, but I want you to see today that enter the data once and it gets used later along the line. So Hoowla uses your email service. So as you send emails from Hoowla, it'll appear in your Outlook sent folder, and if you send things from Outlook or receive them, they get synced back into Hoowla. And we're just putting together a quote email at the moment. I can put more emails at the top. I can choose different fee scales. So I'm just going to use my main conveyancing one. If Frank had said, actually, Gareth Brooks told me to give you a call, I can link it back to an introducer for reporting means and to record lots of information. For the moment, I'm just going to do a sale and a purchase quote. So I collect some details on the sale, and I say they don't know the purchase property's address. They do know that they're going to be purchasing for 400,000. Typically, you're going to ask the potential client some questions, like whether it's they need a mortgage or whether it's they're a first-time buyer. You can configure as many tick boxes as you like. There's some standard ones, obviously, to help calculate tax and the ones, but you can configure any that you need. One of the questions you're going to ask is it freehold or leasehold? Because you may charge extra for leaseholds. And the client's always going to say, well, what's a leasehold? And then you have to explain. Hoowla has a full land registry integration. So at the moment, you may be going to third parties or directly to the land registry. If you're going to third parties to do your registrations, you'll probably be paying extra. There's no extra cost for any of our land registry integrations. It uses your land registry account and charges you. But they have a free service that if you give them an address, they'll tell you the tenure and the title. So I don't need to ask if it's real or at least what it's going to tell me that. So I generate the quote. That's a very popular feature in Hoowla. And I've now got my sale and my purchase quote. So I've got my purchase quote at the top here. It's worked out the land registry, the stamp duty fee for me. And I've got my sale quote here. And then on my sale quote, it's got that title and the tenure. You're probably asking yourself, well, what if it's multiple titles? It will tell you. And what if it's unregistered? It will tell you. And then obviously if it's unregistered, you may have fees for that. So we've got these two quotes now. And essentially what we've created is a person card. Now, call it a person card, but it could be a company. You're not restricted to just people, but we're going to, in this instance, record this one. And you'll have seen on this person card, I can link relationships. So you can build up company structures or, have two partners who are buying a property linked together. I can send emails and text messages. Essentially, I can use this as a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, where I can progress the sale, collect information, even if this person doesn't become a client. But at some point, they're obviously going to want to become a client because you've got a good reputation as a law firm, and we're going to instruct them in a moment. I'm going to do it from the quote, but you can instruct without a quote. We call our cases, but some systems will call them matters or files, but just for you, I'm going to be calling them cases. And I'm going to open up my case manually. We do have on our website examples of where you can do all this digitally. So the quote that goes out can have an accept button and the client can click that and it'll open up a case, it'll send them out the welcome pack. Again, that's for a different video. This one's your more traditional approach. Client's accepted and we want to open it. Even if you go full digital, like I've just described, it's useful to have these approaches because you don't want to turn a client away. They've rung you up, and you don't want to go. No, you've got to go back to the quote and click. It's useful for you to be able to do that. So I'm going to press Instruct Client and start opening the case. It's selected the conveyancing case type because of the quote, but you can have any case type you want in Hoowla, and you define that list yourself. So most law firms obviously will have a few different areas that they cover. It's pulled the address through for me. I can edit that. Obviously on a purchase, may have not had the address. It's going to do a conflict check for me. So here I use this address lots and lots in here. So I've got lots of cases open. As a law firm, you probably wouldn't work for both sides of the case. It's done a conflict check. So it's warning me we've got lots of cases with this address, this person involved. Do we want to proceed? Now, Hoowla, I mentioned, it's very configurable. Many sales progressors use Hoowla as a sales progression tool, so they would work for both sides of the case, have lots of chains built up in Hoowla and the like, so you can bypass it, and I'm going to say this is a test case anyway. But it will have registered that on the file with and that reason, and we can have a look at that later, and you can have that flagged in the business. When you're opening any case in a case management system, you're going to want to select who the fee earner is. We call it the acting solicitor, and who maybe their assistant is. They may not have an assistant. You don't have to have two people, and you can have more than two people work on a file as an entire permissioning system in Hoowla. And that second email address can be a team of people. But I'm going to keep it at the moment to be Tom and Joe working on this case. And I'm going to select one of my workflows. Now, lots of case management systems will use the term workflow. In my mind, in Hoowla's mind, it's a set of steps and milestones that you're going to achieve that have lots of documents and processes that you want to have ready to use. And you'll see how those work in Hoowla. And we've got lots of default ones for conveyancing and other areas of law like immigration, but you can also build your own. For instance, when people build complaints tracking systems in Hoowla, they'll build workflows. And maybe later in this demo, I'll show you some of the setup area as well. Hoowla isn't a modular system. You get all of the features in one go, and some of those will be right for you as a brand and some of them won't. One of the best examples of this is the client portal. It can be really useful for getting the client to digitally sign or complete forms like the TA forms or your client questionnaire forms, and that can be done in Hoowla. And you can use it to update the client where you are in the case, or actually quite usefully on other areas of law. They can send evidence to you like videos, files, and there's no upload limit, and it's all of a secure logged in environment. What I want is you turn on and off what you want in Hoowla. So we're not here to say you must use all of Hoowla and go completely paperless. And that's not right for all law firms. So you may want to give digital access, you may not, and you can have that defaulted to on or off. I'm going to keep it on for the moment because I'm going to show you how Hoowla can be used to send out a digital welcome pack. Now, on every case in Hoowla, you'll have these circles. We call them missing people, and they'll be different for the different case types. So, for instance, Fred may be your client in this case, but he may be the executor on another case. Very popular, and don't see it so much in other case management systems, but you can have that one linking client card or person card across multiple cases, and there can be different roles. And you'll see how that works. And those, by putting them in those circles, it will help things like the land registry integration auto-fill for you, and you'll be able to do all sorts of extra things with it. So we've got the case open now, and you'll notice that Hoowla's cases are very visual to begin with. Don't worry, we have a date-ordered list, like you'd expect a case management system to have, of every single thing that's happened on a file that's date-ordered, and you can search that and filter it. But to begin with, you have a visual representation of the case. You can see we brought that title number from before, and we've also got the conflict check report because of the conflict identifier. Now, the circle diagram at the top is our workflow, and underneath that, we've got the people involved. We can show some case data. You'll see that Hoowla generates your letters for you, and it has merge fields, which we call case data, and custom fields. But you can also, in your own decision, decide which ones of those you want to put on the top of the case. You can do the same with key dates. Your control panel is going to be your key go-to area. That case overview is your date-ordered list, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Because the first thing I like to show you when we first look at a case is getting that welcome pack out, that initial letter pack out. This may not be how you work, but it just gives you an idea. It's going to allow us to dip our toe in the water of how Hoowla does letters. So we'll click on the first circle of the workflow. Every circle or milestone is laid out the same way. It's two columns essentially, and buttons at the top if we've got integration. So in a sale case, in this instance, we typically would want to order office copies. You can do that by clicking the office copy button and ordering the office copies from the land registry directly. Again, no uplift from us. It's just the land registry will bill you as normal. And in fact, you can have the fees auto posted to the ledger as well, because again, it's one system. We also have importers for the land registry CSV. On the left, you've got your task management. So some of your tasks you may want to manually or automatically assign to different people to do. And especially for larger teams, and we've got teams of upwards of 300 people on Hoowla, as well as 1 or 2 people operating a law firm, task management can be really popular. So I'm going to give this task to Sarah, and I know she gets a bit forgetful, so I'm going to send her a reminder email one day before. And I can add notes and all sorts of things on the side. But on the right, I like to think of it as everything that can come out of a printer: legal forms, invoices, and your letters. I can manually go through and do the send the letter out myself, but I can also configure these tasks by clicking on one of these tasks. I've created rules in the setup area to actually send my welcome pack out completely digital. So what that's done is it's set up my TA10 and my TA6, my questionnaire, my care letter, all for completion and signing online, and sent out one email to the client. So that one email says, Dear Frank, and this is a letter in Hoowla. We haven't looked at it yet, but they're interactive. We do have Word plugins, and for very complicated letters, you're not going to beat Word, and you can view Word documents within the browser in Hoowla, and you can open up. We can do mergers, but this letter is in the browser. It's nice and quick. It's interactive, so I can click on different bits and pieces and edit the data and move the things along. But that's all I needed to do to get my letter out. Now, if I had to go and have a look at all these letters to see which ones have been sent or not, it'll be quite time consuming. But this is where the case overview comes in handy. So down on the control panel, I can now see I've set up all, Hoowla's done a lot of things by me pressing that button. But if I want to just see what emails I've sent out, I've just sent out the one email. It's invited the client to track the case, because we did that earlier, and it's invited my fee earner to track the case, but I've just got that one email that goes out to Frank explaining what he's done. Now, you don't have to do it like that. If I wanted to send out my pack as PDFs for the client to fill in at their own time, I can just click on the letter as before. For instance, if I had accidentally, I don't want to call Frank by his first name, I want to call him Mr. Smith. I can change the salutation in the case management system and the letter in one go. got my care letter here. We didn't look at the letters it sent earlier, so this is my care letter. I go to full edit mode if I wanted to. Hoowla's letters can have ifs and loops and conditional logic in them. But if I wanted to put a database field in, for instance, if I wanted to put the client's email address in, I just press the button and it's dropped a little tag in. They're not precious, so if I accidentally delete one, it's not going to break the document. Obviously, it won't put that data in anymore. And if I wanted to send this out in an email, I just press send. I select who I want to send it to. I can then, like I would do in Outlook, select the emails from the case management system or my file system, and I can then send that off in an email. Again, it's all being tracked. Now, if I did this from Outlook, it would still track back to the case because Hoowla is syncing we've got AI that reads your emails that come in and auto attaches them to the case. And so Hoowla's not here to replace Outlook, but you can work in either. It's a bit like saying, I've got my emails on my mobile phone and my computer, which one should I use? You can use both because it's the same thing. It's gone are the days of if you're still clicking and uploading your emails or dragging and dropping them from Outlook, you're doing something that you don't really need to do anymore if you've got a modern case management system. So if I was doing a more interactive, and if you're seeing things that you like and you want to book a demo with me or my team personally, at this stage of the demo, I would ask you kind of what you would like to see. That could be completion statements, it could be our inquiries manager or our undertakings register. It could be something to do with accounts and ledgers, and we haven't really seen the ledgers, but on the control panel we've got, we do the traditional what I call textbook layout, so client on one side, office on the other. Come back to that later. But different people will have different things. Now, obviously, I can't get your feedback on this video, so I will choose for you, and we'll go through a few different things at this stage. One thing we didn't look at was legal forms. So I got my Hoowla system to generate my TA forms for me. So at the moment, it's already pre-filled, and we're a Law Society licensed reseller of the forms, so you can get your licenses from us, and they can be filled and digitally signed online. Again, no third-party apps needed. It all comes from you, and the client gets that one experience, one login to do their AML journey, to do their Law Society completing and signing to upload files with you. So one of my favourite parts of this part of the demo is when people ask about our inquiries manager. Now, there's some really good tools out there for managing inquiries on their own, because typically law firm will manage these either in the emails or they may have a spreadsheet, but both are a little bit inefficient. So there are some third-party tools out there that will allow you to manage inquiries if you've got a really old case management system. But again, for many years now, Hoowla has allowed our solicitors to manage their inquiries in a logical manner. So every single case has a manage inquiries area. Now we're on a sale case, so typically you're going to get inquiries in from the other side, and then you'll probably forward those on or copy and paste them into an email, or worst case have to type them out because the PDF isn't readable. Typically the client will, the other side solicitor will email them to you, but I'm just going to simulate them via PDF because it's just easier for this particular demo. So I'm going to grab a PDF from my computer that's been posted. Hoowla has a post room, so you can scan all your posts in the morning. It will, like the emails, it will auto attach them to the case. But if I go in good Blue Peter fashion, go and get a letter I prepared earlier. So I've just manually uploaded a letter, and you can upload as many things as you like to Hoowla. There's no upload limit to Hoowla, and you can store as much as you like. I've seen some litigations cases with over gigabytes worth of data. A conveyancing case typically wouldn't have that, but some may do. So here we've got an example, standard inquiries letter where you've got 10 inquiries. Now, if this had come in by email, it had already been tagged, but I'm just going to quickly say this is an inquiries letter, and I'm going to import it. And we do the same with the requisitions. So all of the requisitions that come in via our land registry integration get, if you have 10 requisitions on one PDF, it will split them up and you can manage them one by one. And again, on another video, I can show you how that works. It's split them all up. I can edit them in case there's been any mistakes from the other side solicitor. I can add advice that will go into my letter to my client on how to sort of address this situation. But when I press save, it basically imports them all into my management system. And here, For instance, I can say this one's already been satisfied. So I've now got 10 questions, one satisfied, one not. And what that's doing is in my inquiries letters, it's already building up letters. So here I've got this particular placeholder is all the unanswered inquiries, and it's got 2 to 10, and I can have sub-inquiries obviously. And then on my letter to the buyer solicitor, it started building up my answers. Very popular feature in Hoowla. If you don't have a system where you can go to a case instantly and see when and where you are with inquiries, you're fighting with one hand behind your back. Again, we built this feature and all the features you see today because people asked for them. We never charge for software changes, and all the features you see are all user-led. They get released and feedback gets added, and this whole Hoowla community grows together. And we never add any extra costs onto these features. So we've added this. Hoowla's price didn't go up. We added the undertakings register, and the Hoowla price didn't go up. So hopefully that looks quite exciting. Now, one feature you're probably thinking, now lots of users in Hoowla use Hoowla, especially for conveyancing, as a case management tool. They may have an account system separate, and they'll keep them separate because they don't want to yet change their account system, and that works quite well. Because there's so many efficiencies in Hoowla that it still makes some sense to do that. But increasingly, a lot of law firms come to us for their full practice management system, and that will include accounts. And Hoowla has full accounts built in. Our migration process, I'm a big fan of migrating all of the data, posting for posting, so there's no balance brought forward or anything like that. If you've got a case from 5 years ago and we've migrated you to Hoowla, you're able to go to that case, you'll be able to click on the ledger, you'll be able to see all the postings. There's £3 on one day and £300 on another day. They'll all be there. But I'm just going to add, I'm an accounts user here as Joe. I'm going to add some transactions myself manually. So I'm going to record some money on account, just to show you how easy it is. On all of our input screens, we tell you what the current balances are. That was a user-led feature actually as well. And one of our users said it'd be really useful when adding, so we added that in. So I'm going to say that there's £300 on account. And now you can start to see how the ledgers work. We've got £300 there. Now I did that because I want to show you the completion statement and how that works. So you'll notice I've jumped around a little bit on Hoowla, and it will be hard to follow. It's like moving into a new house. It takes a little time to get around to, but most of the things in Hoowla are links. So you can jump around as much as you want. And again, because we're online software, you can have as many windows open as you like. So I could stay on this screen, I can go to another one. So I've got 2 versions of Hoowla open. Again, it's a Hoowla feature, but it's not one we've built. It's just how online software works. But I know some of the older case management systems, if you're halfway through something and you want to go somewhere else, you've got to close it down. Again, it's a bit of a pain. When I want to generate a completion statement, and you've noticed actually there that I'm jumping around the workflow. So in my setup, I can go forward in time. You can configure your workflows to have locks in them so that certain things have to happen before certain other things happen. But for demo purposes, got mine so I can jump around. And so do many law firms. Smaller law firms will be very efficient, very knowledgeable. They won't want the computer to say no to them, and they'll want that flexibility. So you fit Hoowla to you, not you to Hoowla. Let's generate that completion statement because it's a big task in a case management system. So Hoowla is suggesting items, and it will tell you where it's suggesting them from. So this is from the quote, so it may have changed. So actually, maybe I want to take off that one. I want to add another item on. So add another item on, but it's also suggesting things from the ledger and from the document. So the ledger gold standard, is going to be right because it's on the ledger. So you're going to want to include that. And we've got our completion ready to go. Now, actually, before I generate this, I'm going to save it for later. And I'm going to add a second person on the case. I don't know about you, but obviously increasingly, the proceeds won't be 50-50. Buyers with their partners are increasingly becoming more complicated in the way they split the proceeds up. So I'm going to add Julia to this case, who I've already got in the system. I'm going to say she's a client as well. So both Julia and Frank are buyers. So basically what I'm kind of getting at in a long-winded way is that you're going to want to split the proceeds of the completion statement, not just 50-50, and you're going to want to explain that. So Hoowla allows you to do that. Now I've got more than one person on the case. I've got a split proceeds button. So in fact, actually, Julia is providing, owns more of the property. She owns 82%. Strange percentage, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But you obviously can change it. Typically, people split it in a round number. Maybe she put a bigger deposit in to begin with. But it's working that out for you. And it's not just limited to 2. If I had 10 people on there, there'd be 10 people and it works all out. But I know if your system doesn't help you with that, it can be an area that errors can occur. And then it just pops the completion statement together for you. I can then email that out and away we go. Another question people ask during the demo is, I want to do a blank letter. That's great. Hoola's got all these templates. Hoowla will set up all my existing precedents into the system, or we can use Hoola's existing precedents. But I need to do blank letters sometimes. Not everything is as straightforward as you make it. Hoowla, you have your blank letter template set up. So maybe I want to do a blank letter to the client. Give it a name, just like I would do on my computer. I would type my letter away. Now, I may be a junior member of staff. I may have written a letter and I wanted to get it reviewed by someone. Hoowla has a document review process, so I can ask Tom to review that to me. It will email him. It will go in a list in Hoowla that he can work through. Actually, that list in Hoowla is on the dashboard screen. And in the dashboard screen, I can see my latest documents to action. And because I've got the right permissions, I actually can see other people's. So on Tom's list, there's that document I asked him to review. Really important. If you've got the right permissions, being able to see other people's lists of things is really handy. Remember how I mentioned earlier that you can assign tasks to people to do items in Hoowla? Here are mine, but I can also, again, if I'm a manager or I have the right permissions, review other people. So maybe Tom and Sarah are really busy. Now, I know if I'm really busy, sometimes if I've not got a system in place, I'm too busy to tell someone else how to help me. So it's just quicker to do it myself. That's a bad situation as a business to get in. Now, without having to stop Tom and Sarah doing what they're doing, I can see all their tasks and I can get other people in the team to go and help them out because, again, it's all being documented. Again, also, if Tom's off ill or had a medical or family emergency, I can support that. I can say, Tom, go and deal with that family emergency. That is more, family is more important than business. And me and the team can pick the tasks up. He doesn't have to stop and write it down and say, well, actually, remember the Henderson file? You can pick it up from Hoowla. So it helps your team be able to support things like that. Hopefully, you're seeing things today that's inspiring you to contact us on hoola.com and ask for a more live demo. There's no hard sell. All we like to do on our sales demos is hear about problems you've got, and if we can solve them, we'll show you how Hoowla does, and if we can't, we'll be honest about it and we'll say we're not right. We're not right for everybody. Hoowla is different by design. If it was the same as your current case management system, then there would be no point changing. Some of the areas we haven't really looked at yet is the full accounts area. So it is office side as well. You can do your reconciliations, you can do your profit and loss, you can trial balance. I know watching these videos can be quite laborious, so you may have skipped through it. So I'm just going to try and cover off a few things now in the latter part of this video that hopefully inspire you. The reporting area of Hoowla is very popular as well. You can have dashboard reports that will show you visually what's going on, but you can also get spreadsheet downloads of things like active cases, where ones are overdue, where particular dates are expiring. When you order your OS ones through Hoowla, the expiry date gets automatically added to the case as an expiry date. You can also start building up your own custom reports. So you can say, show me all the cases which are open, where Tom is the fee earner, and that will give me 4. And actually, where, for instance, the completion milestone has been completed. You won't have many of those because in my demos I never get that far because we're always doing the first part of the case and then just dipping into the end part. But you can see you can add lots of different filters, where you are in a case, database field, so you can show me all of the cases where a particular estate agent's involved, or a mortgage value is higher than X. As well as your case data, you can also manage what your team are doing. So you can actually see which members, especially if you're working remotely, this is really useful to support staff in their training needs. So here I can see in the last 7 days that Joe has completed 10 notes 25 file uploads, and Tom's only done 4 and Sarah's done none. So maybe Sarah and Tom need some more help. Maybe they're suffering in silence and I can go and help them. But I also, it's not just a number, I actually can see the data underneath. It's always pulling that data up to the top for you. The last thing I want to cover in today's video is the diary. Like we had those list views, we also have a diary view. It's an interactive diary, so you can see your own diary, click on the task and go and do it. And if you've got the right permissions, you can see other people's. You can also, we've got group important areas around completion calendars, but also post-completion. So in Hoola, you can see all your official searches and you can also see all of your eDRSs. Now I'm on a live account here, so I don't have any eDRSs, but there are other videos on our account to show you how the digital AP1 process works. We've been integrated since 2016 with our joint oldest integration partner with the Land Registry. We don't charge anything extra for it. It's very popular because of the way it splits out all the requisitions into individual items. So if you have one PDF from the Land Registry with 4 or 5 or 10 requisitions on, it splits them all up for you. And you can record which ones have or haven't been satisfied. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. This is a lot of what I find I cover in a first sales call or demos call with a new firm who's focused on conveyancing. If you want to know more, just get in contact at hoola.com or adam@hoola.com is my email address. Thanks everybody.